Okay, so I think we'll look to kick off. So welcome everybody and thanks for joining us today. I'm Simon Moore, Business Development Manager at Energy Action here in Western Australia. And today my colleague Sarah Lewis and I are going to talk a little about the energy markets in WA. We'll touch on bundled and unbundled rate plans, the transition towards net zero, and how GreenPower can help with reducing emissions. We'll also look at effective energy management, and we'll aim to leave a bit of time at the end for a brief Q&A. We'll start off with an acknowledgement of country, and both Sarah and I are here in Perth, and we acknowledge the Whadjuk Noongar people as the traditional custodians of this land. In the spirit of reconciliation, Energy Action acknowledges traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respect to their elders past and present, and we extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. I'll take this opportunity to formally introduce my colleague Sarah. Sarah is our business service consultant based here in Perth, and she's represented Energy Action for over 3 years. Sarah's got over 8 years experience working in the local markets, both as a consultant and working directly for energy retailers.
Thanks, Simon, and welcome everybody. It's great to be here today, and I'm looking forward to getting into the content we have planned and providing some tangible strategies that businesses can utilise to reduce their energy cost, reduce their emissions and better manage their business's energy supplies. As Simon highlighted, I've had the pleasure of working in the WA energy market for nearly a decade, and it certainly is a unique market with aspects such as reserve capacity charge and bundled and unbundled rate plans. We'll cover these in a bit more detail as we progress, but first of all, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce Simon. So Simon is Energy Action's Business Development Manager for the WA marketplace. He has over 10 years experience in conventional and renewable energies and has worked in the energy markets across the UK and Australia.
Thanks for that, Sarah. And for participants who may not be too familiar, I'll provide a brief overview of Energy Action. So Energy Action was founded over 20 years ago, and our vision is to make energy simpler, cleaner and lower cost. Today, we're the trusted independent energy partner for over 7,000 clients. We look after the energy for over 20,000 sites, and we're ASX listed and AFSL licensed. Our customer base encompasses a wide range, everything from small independent businesses through to large top-tier organisations. And it includes some of the biggest and most recognisable brands in the country. One thing that we're extremely proud of as a socially responsible business operating in the Australian energy industry is that we are on the way to becoming a net zero business, having submitted our documentation for certification by Climate Active at the end of 21. And Sarah, I know you joined me in celebrating getting all this lodged.
Yes, it was certainly a lot of work involved there, Simon, but I found that the transition to net zero is now on the mindset of almost all the customers that we speak to, and it's great that we can soon lead from the front in our journey to help other businesses achieve their own net zero certifications.
Indeed. And we will talk a little bit more about net zero as we move through. But first, Sarah, I think you're going to give us a few words around the WA markets in general and talk a bit more about those different rate plans and some of those uniquities we have here in the local marketplace.
Thanks, Simon. So yeah, I'll just start off by outlining Energy Action is a national energy consultancy firm, and we operate across all states of Australia. So for any participants who may have interstate business operations, we're your one-stop shop for energy. So for today's session on WA, we'll focus on the area known as the SWIS, or the Southwest Interconnected System. This is a geographic area of the state that is classed as a contestable network, meaning that businesses in this area have access to a choice of energy retailers. It is important to note that to access a wider market in the SWIS, a business needs to use over 50,000 kilowatt hours of electricity per year. So that's equivalent to spending around $25,000. So for those that use less than this threshold, they're classed as non-contestable supply points, meaning that the default retailer is Synergy, much like the residential market in WA. For eligible customers above the threshold, there's two types of energy contracts available, and these being referred to as bundled or unbundled rate plans. With bundled rate plans, all the costs involved in a generation and transmission of energy are bundled together along with the cost of energy itself in one combined unit rate. Unbundled rate plans are more like itemised billing, with the cost of energy and each individual cost of generation and transmission being itemised into their own separate line entries. As you can see from the bill shown on screen, unbundled users would see individual line entries and costs for aspects such as market charges, environmental charges, and network charges. For clarity, we'll provide a bit of a breakdown of what these charges all relate to and how the unbundled plans work. The costs outside of the energy itself on unbundled plans are referred to as pass-through costs, as the energy retailer billing you is essentially passing on third-party costs involved in the supply of energy. These pass-through costs can fluctuate, and while the energy rate itself is fixed for the term of the contract, unbundled users would likely to see cost movements going either up or down for the pass-through charge. Bundled users, however, have a single all-encompassing energy rate for the duration of the contract. For unbundled users, we've broken down the various line items you may see into the four main categories. So we have market charges, are the pass-through charges from the AEMO, otherwise known as the Australian Energy Market Operator, and these charges cover the cost involved in operating the energy market in WA. Often making up to over 10% of the bill, they also cover the cost of WA's reserve capacity mechanism, where the AEMO pays energy generators to ensure there is enough capacity to meet demand. And Simon, I know you've had some clients recently you've helped with reducing these costs.
Yes, that's right, Sarah. So essentially an energy user's individual capacity charge gets calculated based on their energy consumption over set periods on the 4 hottest days of the year. And this then determines that user's capacity charges for the following year. For large energy consumers, effectively managing your consumption over the capacity charge calculation period can then result in reduced capacity charges for the following year.
Thanks, Simon. And if anyone would like more details on utilising this strategy, please reach out to us. So we'll move forward on to environmental charges shown on the bills, or line items such as STCs and RECs. These relate to the cost of state and federal government investments in renewable energy generation and often make up to around 10% of the bill. When renewable energy generators come online, it's obviously not feasible to run a power cable straight from the source to the end user. So the clean energy that's generated gets fed into local power grids and is tracked through certificates. These certificates are classed as RECs, which is short for Renewable Energy Certificates, and are traded commodities for offsetting emissions. RECs may be produced from large-scale generators in the form of LGCs or STCs, known as small-scale technologies. Then we have the network charges, often making up the bulk of the bill on unbundled bills. And these are the costs associated with Western Power for the provision and the maintenance of energy networks. So Western Power have a suite of different tariffs, which are set by a site's metering profile, and these are eligible for an annual review. Should there be a considerable change in a prior year's energy consumption, you may find that a review of the site's network charges can then reduce cost. On your bills, you may also see reference to LLS, or line loss factors, which relate to electricity lost in transmission between a generator and the end users, as no transmission network is 100% efficient. So now we've covered the pass-through costs around energy billing, we'll look at the market for energy itself. As we'll all likely recall, WA was smashed with a late heat wave at the end of 21, a stark contrast to most of what our friends in the eastern states were experiencing. This meant increased demand for energy, which pushed up the price along with increasing the demand on the network. I actually personally recall experiencing a rather high amount of outages here in the northern suburbs over recent months. I don't know about yourself, Simon, but it was certainly sweltering conditions without the air conditioning running.
Well, being a fellow pond Sarah, I can certainly sympathise there. And yeah, I must admit, I did notice one or two unusual outages south of the river as well. And these can often be a result of instability in the grid caused by a large influx of renewable energy during periods of low demand. And I think this really demonstrates that need for large-scale batteries to become a key component in managing the grid's load balance moving forwards.
Yes, it's definitely going to be a requirement moving forward. And interestingly, when we look at the tables on the right here, we can clearly see that the increase in the levels of renewables in our generation mix, and we can actually see increased impact they're having on determining spot price for WA energy. Renewable energy generation actually accounted for almost 40% of our total energy demand in WA last year, and it's expected this trend will only increase moving forwards. Now we look at the gas. So WA gas, we've seen a year-on-year decrease in demand across multiple industry sectors. While reduced demand would usually mean a lower pricing, as we can see from the charts here, and has been featured in local media recently, gas prices in WA have actually almost tripled over the last 2 years. This has largely been driven by an increased export of local gas supplies, along with reduced production from existing facilities and project delays with new facilities. With gas exports meaning we are now part of the global gas market, it is also worth noting that the recent gas shortages in Europe and continued uncertainty around the situation in Russia. It is expected that these global gas shortages will continue for some time into the next decade. And then when we look at the markets for those renewable energy certificates, we also see a distinct upward trend in the spot pricing for a lot of certificates. ACCUs, or Australian Carbon Credit Units, are another form of traded certificate which work in a similar way to the STCs or LGCs we referenced earlier. As we see from the tables on the right here, the prices for the ACCUs and the LGCs increased significantly over Q3, and this trend is continued into Q4. We do, however, see this trend reversing in the REC forward price curve as more and more renewable generators are set to come online, and we highly recommend businesses look at forward purchasing RECs out to calendar year 26 based on the forward price curve. So with so many aspects to consider when reviewing your bills and your energy plans, it's important to have an energy expert involved who can drill down into the details and also provide guidance around other contractual aspects such as take or pay clauses, future rolling rollouts, or even additional sites. So at Energy Action, we're here to assist WA businesses in assessing the market and working out which energy plan will provide the best result for your business. We can also help you navigate renewable energy options and provide strategies for your business to transition towards net zero. Now, Simon, I believe you're going to talk in a little bit more detail around the whole net zero piece.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. And great rundown there on the WA markets and actually making sense of some of those charges on the bills. So with net zero, we're onto what is really one of the hot topics today, not just in the energy industry, but in almost all corners of industry. With the federal government recently setting some firm net zero targets, the transition is now front and centre for a lot of businesses. And net zero can seem a complex concept, but essentially it simply means we reach a point where the carbon emissions attached to our day-to-day business activities are effectively reduced or offset to reach a neutral level. Now, business carbon emissions get broken down into 3 categories or scopes, with scope 1 emissions being direct business activity that generates greenhouse gases. So things like burning fuel in boilers or in diesel engines. The scope 2 emissions are the indirect emissions, and these are attached to a business's energy use, as a large portion of the energy that businesses do use in Australia is still produced through burning fossil fuels. And then the scope 3 emissions are often the most tricky category to tackle. These are indirect emissions attached to a business's supply chain. So aspects such as buying products from suppliers would normally have a greenhouse gas component involved in either the manufacturing or the delivery of the products. Transitioning to net zero does involve a number of steps. The first is to be able to measure and understand your existing carbon impact, and then look to reduce those carbon emissions as much as possible through measures such as energy efficiency, shifting to on-site renewable energies and transition into electric vehicles would all have a massive impact overall, as would the procurement of off-site renewable energy supplied through the existing power grid. The final step would then be to purchase some of those carbon certificates Sarah spoke about to offset any remaining balance of emissions. Now, while achieving full net zero is definitely a journey, taking action on the scope 2 emissions can often make for a great first step in your own net zero transitions. So the scope 2 emissions would normally represent a large chunk of a business's overall footprint. And interestingly, as we can see here from data from Government's Department of Industry, the fossil fuels that were used in electricity generation contributed nearly a third of Australia's total emissions. As such, solving the energy problem will have a massive impact on the overall transition to that net zero future. The good news with the scope 2 emissions is that they are actually a very easy sector to take action on, and they can often be the low-hanging fruit in the net zero journey. So how do we tackle them? Well, there are a number of solutions, and which one fits best would depend on your business's specific energy load profile and, of course, your own net zero targets. One of the best options for negating the use of fossil fuels in your energy supply chain is to install solar power and generate your own clean energy on site. And Sarah, I know you mentioned recently seeing quite an uptick in the number of inquiries you've been receiving around solar.
Yeah, there's definitely seems to be an increased level of interest now. And I think the fact that it adds tremendous environmental benefits while also being able to cut ongoing costs makes it a no-brainer for most businesses.
Indeed. And while the solar markets can sometimes seem confusing with numerous different retailers and various system specifications, Energy Action operates a platform that allows for an apples v apples comparison and has been designed to ensure you can procure solar at the most competitive rates. So when we launched over 20 years ago, we introduced Australia's first online reverse auction platform for electricity. We've since expanded this model to incorporate clean energy and solar power. And we offer a 100% transparent process where the various energy or solar retailers bid against each other in real time to supply your requirements. So Energy Action would work with you in engineering the specifications of the best clean energy solution based on your business's specific requirements. We then release the specs out to the market, and we invite our panel of retailers to bid against each other through our highly competitive platform. The retailers are then bidding down the cost of your clean energy solution to help ensure you get the best available market rates. When the auctions wrap up, we issue full comparison reports detailing all the offers received. And these provide an easy to understand apples v apples comparison, and they simplify that traditionally complex and often confusing language of navigating the energy markets. Now, where solar may not be practical or may not make much of a dent in your energy needs, the energy retailers in WA actually offer a number of avenues to procure renewable energy supply directly through the existing power grid. And Sarah, I believe you're going to give us a bit of insight into some of these options.
Thanks, Simon. So yeah, as you've highlighted, solar is great wherever possible, but there's so many instances where it's just not viable. And this is where clean energy supplied through the grid can assist for businesses who want to take action on their emissions. There are a number of products available in this space, such as carbon neutral energy plans, green power contracts, corporate PPAs, and progressive purchasing strategies. And we'll cover some of these key points on these options. So it's important to consider the details of any option your business looks into. For businesses transitioning to net zero, there are various benchmarks and certification schemes in existence that are essentially used to review a business's actions in a net zero space and certify the results of these initiatives. As such, the key is to ensure that the steps you take in negating your emissions actually meet the requirements of any applicable reporting frameworks you may use. So carbon neutral energy plans can seem very attractive as they often entail minimal financial premiums compared against standard energy rates. Different carbon neutral plans negate emissions through various carbon offset schemes, both locally and around the globe. These schemes may not actually involve renewable energy generation, and many do not include a direct link to the measures actually being used for offsetting emissions, meaning carbon neutral plans may not meet the accounting standards for a number of the net zero benchmark schemes. At the other end of the scale are your corporate PPAs, power purchase agreements. These allow you to purchase renewable energy directly from a local identifiable source and can also provide marketing opportunities to highlight your partnership with a renewable energy generator. While cost effective, they are generally suited for more larger energy consumers, as they often involve a long-term contract between 7 to 15 years. PPAs can also involve taking on a percentage of risk associated with a generation source, meaning generation issues at source may have financial knock-on effects for the end users of the energy. Then we've got the large energy consumers can also take on LGC, progressive purchasing strategies, whereby RECs are strategically purchased through the trading markets, and we're able to provide some tailored advice around this should anybody online be interested in this product. Now, another great option that's available to the majority of the WA energy users, whether you be on a bundled or unbundled rate plan, is the Australian government accredited GreenPower scheme. So GreenPower allows you to source all or part of your business's grid supplied electricity from accredited Australian renewable energy generators like wind, solar, mini hydro, and bioenergy. For GreenPower, you can automatically purchase the REC certificates from these clean energy generators to offset the emissions attached to the energy use in your business. There's over 160 accredited generators across Australia, with wind turbines and solar generators making up the majority of our GreenPower mix. One of the benefits of GreenPower is that it offers flexibility in the amounts that you purchase. And I know from hearing from you, Simon, there's been a big draw recently for a lot of our customers.
Yeah, Sarah, I've definitely found that flexibility that GreenPower offers has been really popular out in the market. As you know, a lot of businesses are only just starting their own net zero journeys, and many have got plans to incrementally reduce their emissions over a number of years. The fact that GreenPower allows you to increase the percentages of the clean energy you're buying makes it a great fit for aligning with these incremental targets.
Yes, I've seen a lot of customers recently who may have short-term goals of, say, 50% reduction in emissions. So being able to match the GreenPower percentage in line with the business's target has been massively effective. And GreenPower also provides your business with a number of marketing opportunities to highlight your clean energy credentials. Purchasing over 10% GreenPower allows you to use the GreenPower logo on your website and promotional materials to differentiate yourself from your competitors. Purchasing over 50% or purchasing 100% GreenPower opens up options to also have your business featured on the GreenPower website. With more and more consumers having a focus around environmental credentials, the fact that GreenPower allows you to highlight your efforts in being sustainable makes it a great product. So now I'll pass you back over to Simon for a little bit of insight into effective energy management.
Thanks for that, Sarah. And some great info there. And yes, I will now spend a few minutes talking about effective energy management and how our metric system can help. So Metrics is our energy management and reporting suite, and it's been designed to streamline that traditionally complex and often time-consuming task of managing a business energy portfolio. With energy being a crucial backbone to almost all business operations, it is important to understand how effective energy management can benefit a business financially, environmentally, and in terms of raw man hours spent on energy management. And Sarah, I know you mentioned before how the conversations that you used to have around energy were always heavily focused around pricing, but that's actually changed quite a bit out there recently.
That's right, Simon. So yeah, I just think there's just more focus and understanding now the actual impact energy use has. It's not only in terms of expenditure, also in regards to the environmental and even administrational impacts of energy use in a business.
Yeah, and it is great to see increased awareness around these aspects. And essentially, these are the areas that Metrics focuses on. So by effectively managing your own energy portfolios, your business can then be empowered to reduce spend, reduce emissions, and reduce those overall man hours spent on any energy related admin. So we'll briefly dig down into how Metrics actually addresses a lot of the challenges that businesses might be facing in these areas. On the administrational side, Metrics provides you with all the data you need to actually understand your energy portfolio. On top of the ongoing contract and account management that Energy Action provides for our customers, our online Metrics portal gives you fast and easy access to all of your key energy data across all of your sites. And it can combine data from multiple retailers across multiple locations into one simple to use dashboard. The advanced data visibility through the Metrics portal then allows you to view key info on areas such as spend, usage, load profiles, and emissions at either a portfolio or at a single site level. Metrics also provides automated reporting, which Sarah, I know you have a few customers who absolutely love this aspect of the service.
I do, Simon. The automated monthly reporting on usage, spend and emissions, along with the annual budget estimate reports, consolidates key entry data and automatically issues the reports to the relevant personnel within a business. This means a lot less internal admin for a number of my clients.
Great stuff, Sarah. Now, environmentally, Metrics can also be a great tool on that journey towards net zero. We spoke earlier how the first step in the transition is to be able to measure and understand your existing emissions profile. The detailed energy use and emissions monitoring that Metrics provides allows you to track your energy usage and the associated carbon emissions across all of your sites. This not only allows you to monitor your emissions, but more importantly, monitor the impact of any energy or carbon reduction strategies that your business decides to implement. Now, Metrics also provides ongoing actionable insights into reducing energy usage and carbon emissions. By actually reviewing your individual patterns of energy usage, we can then look to recommend some tailored steps that could effectively lower both costs and overall emissions. Now, in regards to costs and the financial side of things, for the customers out there on those unbundled rate plans, the network tariff reviews are one of the most powerful tools in the Metrics platform. As Sarah explained earlier, when you enter into the unbundled contract, you're locking in a set unit rate over a set number of years, but it doesn't lock in those network charges as they get updated each year by Western Power. Well, with Metrics, we undertake a detailed review of your network tariff charges, and we compare these against the updated network tariffs available in your area. This then immediately identifies any areas for cost reductions. And in the last 6 years, we've saved our customer base over $26 million simply through reviewing and switching the network tariffs. Bill validations are another powerful financial aspect to the metric service, and it might be surprising to learn, but on average, around 1 in 10 energy bills that get issued by retailers contain errors that end up in overcharging or undercharging. But how does a business go about spotting one of these? Well, with metrics, our bill validation service cross-checks the data from your electricity meters against the retailer's charges on the bills. This immediately identifies any errors, and to date, we've actually recovered in excess of $5 million of retailer overcharges to our customer base. So essentially, metrics is providing you with an advanced suite of tools and functions, along with ongoing support from the Energy Action team behind the scenes, to empower your business to make energy simpler, cleaner, and lower cost. Please reach out to us if you'd like some more info on metrics. We do have a range of different plans available for different energy users, and anyone that's interested, we can happily take through a live demo of the system. The great thing with metrics is you don't need to be an existing Energy Action customer to take up the service. So even if you've recently negotiated a new energy contract, you can still harness the power of the metrics platform. So we've got a couple of minutes left before we jump into the questions. I think we've covered a good bit of info so far, and do hope it's been useful for everyone that's joined. The key message for all the participants is, if you are looking to implement a solution in your own business, be that for an expiring energy contract or an on-site solar system, or even procurement of grid supply clean energy, one of the key drivers in these uncertain economic times is to get peace of mind, to know that you are getting the best possible value from the markets. Now, being the most cost effective when procuring energy or solar power essentially boils down to two simple words: competitive tension. So the various energy and solar retailers that are in the market are all hungry for business, and they're willing to compete for it. In fact, the WA energy market was firstly regulated to encourage competition in the space. At Energy Action, we work with numerous local energy retailers and solar installers to harness the competitive tension in the market and drive the best results for your business. The reverse auction platform has been running for over 2 decades and is a tried and tested methodology that stimulates maximum competitive tension between retailers. The process is 100% transparent, with all the retailers bidding on the same specs, and you can actually watch on in real time as they bid down the cost of your clean energy solution and fight to win your business. So anyone who'd like more info on this, please feel free to reach out to us directly. Sarah, did you want to add anything before we jump into the questions?
Yeah, I'll just reiterate, Simon, that we are a national business and we work with energy retailers all across the country. So I know there are a number of our participants online today who do have business operations in eastern states. So please reach out, because we can assist in all areas for you.
Great stuff, Sarah. Thanks for that. Also, for everyone that's joined us today, we will be circulating a copy of our quarterly market update that gets issued to our customer base, and this contains our key insights into the energy markets all around Australia. So I think we'll jump in and see if we've got any questions there. Feel free to type into the Q&A. I can see one question there asking, is there much difference between bundled and unbundled plans in pricing? And how do you decide on which plan to go to for prior to tendering? Sarah, did you want to take that one?
So I think it's really dependent on your load profile and what industry you're in. So we'd start with doing a bill validation check, assessing the past 12 months of consumption, your spend, what kind of appetite you've got for looking to manage your energy more efficiently as to which plan would be most suited. So please reach out and I'll be happy to check your bill.
Indeed, yeah. So there's so many variables with individual load profiles that it's very hard to generalize. But Energy Action does enable you to have full capture of the market and be able to compare both bundled and unbundled options to see which one would fit best. Can also see there's another question there come through inquiring what is the current price for the REC certificates that we spoke about there. So with the REC certificates, that question just seems to have jumped out there. The pricing that we're looking at currently in the markets sit around about 4.2 cents per kilowatt hour. That's for the current year 22 rather. 2023, as we highlighted in that forward REC price curve, we do start to see the prices dropping for the forward years. So dropping down to about 3.8 cents per kilowatt for 24, and then down to about 3.5 for calendar year 25. So this is where we suggest that anyone who is interested in forward purchasing RECs really looks to take advantage of that slump in the forward price curve. And again, feel free to reach out to us for some ideas around how you can action that internally. Okay, and it looks like we've got another question that came through that our colleague Ed Hanna managed to answer, which was in regards to GreenPower recognising the RECs compliance percentage. So looking at that there, it seems to be focused around the GreenPower renewable energy supply agreements and a potential decline in GreenPower's popularity over time. So with GreenPower, there are a number of sort of setups for GreenPower in regards to the percentages you purchase, and depending on your percentage components, depends on the impact it would have in regards to your reporting. And just looking through there, the suggestion from our colleague Ed Hanna, who is our head of corporate services and handles the progressive purchasing strategies, is that looking at REC progressive purchasing options can be another option in place of GreenPower that would meet carbon neutral standards for climate active certifications. So again, if you did want to look at options or understand REC progressive purchasing strategies a bit more, feel free to reach out to us directly. And it looks like that's all we've got coming through on the questions. We do have a couple of minutes left before we're due to finish up. If anyone else has any queries, they'd like to fire off.
We've all gone quiet.
Yeah, well, I think we can look to potentially wrap up a few minutes early if there's no more questions coming through, and give all of our participants that 5 or 6 minutes of their day back. But yeah, the underlying message, guys, for anyone who does want any more info, anyone who does want to discuss any of these strategies first, or a bit of info around metrics, or just a review of your current setup in comparison to the markets, feel free to reach out to us directly. We're here and we're happy to help in any way that we can. And I think we'll look to wrap that up there. And just to let you know, guys, as well, along with the copy of the quarterly market update, we will also be sharing a link to the recording of this session. So if there was anyone unable to attend or anyone that wanted to revisit any aspects, you should have that ability once that link comes through.
Fantastic. Well, thanks ever so much for all the attendees today, taking your time out your day to listen to us. And we hope it's been insightful for you all. And as Simon says, if you require any additional information, please reach out to us, because we're local in WA and we're here to help.
Great stuff, Sarah. And thanks again to everyone that's joined us.
Thanks. Bye.